Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Early Retirement Planning, your key to peace, health, and wealth. My name is Francis Nmeribe, and I'm delighted to bring you this webinar today. I'd like to start by apologizing for the disruption in the original time when this was fixed, and to let all our invited guests and all those who signed in and all those who will just meet us online now and join know that whatever we lost in the delay will be covered in the content that we are about to witness today. It is a big pleasure for me to talk about early retirement because of what I have done with retirement planning myself. At the beginning of my working career as a civil servant, I just saw that it was imperative that I do something different than many people have been doing. I just noticed that it is important that I have an edge over what becomes of me after I am no longer in paid employment or actively involved in earning income. And this became a source of concern for me. It became something I thought about deeply. I spent quite some time thinking about it, to the extent that I was able to write a book on it. And that book was written because of what I saw happen to some of my close associates who did not do exactly the same thing that I did. It's now my pleasure to bring to you the Early Retirement Planning, your key to peace, wealth, and health in retirement. Thank you. Now, it will be important that you find a way. This is how you can get hold of us in case of the future. For future communication, you can get hold of us through our website, theafghantownhall.com. And when you get there, we invite you to subscribe to the newsletter that we produce on everything to help people in personal development and in retirement planning. We also invite you to visit the website of our ebook club, which is a membership club that we invite people to join so that you can have access to over 1 million ebooks that you can download on your phones and tablets and other devices to read on the go, to make sure that you are not struggling with having to read. And you can email us at fmeribe@theafghantownhall.com or fmeribe@gmail.com. The phone and WhatsApp is +234 818 339 8461 +234 818 339 8461. This is how you get hold of us in case you have the need to check in and see what we can do to help you, either with your retirement or personal development and empowerment. Okay. Now, earlier in the day, those who registered for this seminar will set out a questionnaire. That questionnaire is meant to help you see where you are on basic needs of life and how you can think deeply concerning where you are and then where you want to be, especially in retirement. We invite you to take time to complete and keep that questionnaire and refer to it as often as possible. It is an important self-checking and future planning element. and it has been prepared for those who are attending this seminar today. I'd like you to make good use of it. Okay, I'd like to play a short video of an interview that I gave to Edo Broadcasting Service. I think this was way back in 2012 or 2013. I was in Edo State, and a friend of mine, he's the one behind the camera that is getting the video you have here, arranged for me to speak on the Edo State Broadcasting Service television morning show, where I share thoughts about early retirement planning. These are some of the things he captured, and this makes a lot of sense. I'd like you to pay attention to it because it makes a lot of sense in early retirement planning. Because they never saved, they never planned. They say, I think it's this great philosopher, this Socrates, who said that unexamined life is not worth living. Okay. And I think in this country, we learn that part of our problem is planlessness. So that person is suffering from the disease called planlessness. And another one is that we say if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. So one way or the other, you are making a plan if you don't ever save or do anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, early retirement is not in a national site, it's not just there at home. And then how did they come about the idea of early retirement? So they said that you have a book on it.
Okay, here is what happened. That book is the story of my life.
Okay, the story of my life.
The book on retirement is the story of my life in retirement planning. When I was in service, I saw my colleagues, especially senior colleagues. Many of them were very great men and women, both of integrity, who worked very happily, worked very righteously. They never stole money. Some of them were never after bribes or even dashes. Okay. They worked well then, but they never thought of planning in the level that I have just done it. They retired from service. They collected their gratuity, which looked like a lot of money at that time for civil servants at the level they are. Okay. But they never made any plans on how to deploy this money. So I watched them with their gratuity and pension
squandered
in a minute. Within months, they had no money. Some of them fell sick, and then they died. If they are lucky. Some of them who were not lucky hung on, very sick, but useless to themselves and to their family. Because they have been shocked by the fact that their gratuity, which is the last thing, the only thing they ever hope for, the only thing they work for, wasted away in ventures. And here is what happens to them. You are in service. You never developed any other skill in your life. You never started a business. Then you decided that when you finish working and get your gratuity, you quickly take it and go and start business.
Establish a business you never planned for.
It is not like that. Think about the average trader you have in your market. Before they ever make it, they start very little, they struggle, sometimes they fail, they get up again, they look for loans, all sorts of things. It takes them years to come out. The only thing we see is when the trader has come out and now has a lot of money. Okay. So civil servants carry their gratuity and want to dump it. The only thing they know is that thing that we studied in commerce that says you exchange your money for goods, and they exchange them back to money at profit. Okay. That doesn't hold water. To really survive after retirement, you need to have learned what to do with your gratuity, so that when it gets into your hand, then it is going to an investment you're already familiar with. Many people are not familiar with the terrain. Trading and tricks is not a child's play. Okay. It's something you need to learn. So yes, you need to sit and learn it. So entrepreneurship education is something that I encourage, and I like all those organizations that are providing it, and I try to attend them. So while in service, people should do entrepreneurship training. Okay. They should start doing business while in service. Okay. I'm writing a book, and the topic is why, when, and where you should retire. Why you should do business while still in service. Okay. And people will say, last time you asked me, won't you take other people's time? I want to repeat here that there are 24 hours in a day. You put only 10 in that service at the highest, maybe 12. What are you doing with the rest? So use them and find time, find 1 hour in it, and begin to learn the business you're interested in, you probably retire into. Okay. So never use your retirement benefits to do any business you never learn, because it will be wasted in a few days, and you will lose, and the person will force it.
Well, now, that's quite explicit. fear of the unknown, the syndrome is always there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to leave the comfort of the civil service because you don't know what's going to happen to you outside the civil service. Now the question is, how can you overcome the challenge of the fear of the unknown in courts?
Okay, I would like to tell you the story of my daughter.
Okay.
I have a boy and 2 girls. The first girl in our family she's very smart. Her penchant for what she wants or what she knows is so dear for her. Many others wait for us, she doesn't. Okay, and we are grateful that she's a star of that level. But here is what happens. When we lived in Aba was a tough place for us. We decided to every year, we found time and went away to another city, including even up to Ghana, to go and get recreation on a holiday. Anytime you propose to travel to anywhere to the family, Nene is there, she will just say, I'm not going anywhere with you people. I don't want to miss my friends in Aba.
Okay.
Okay. She said, oh, if I leave, then my friends, I will miss them. Then, because she's not in majority, it's only her. All of us want to go. We want the fun. So, we finally will move. While on the road, Nene will start enjoying the trip more than every other person. If we stop at a fast food place to eat, she will eat and ask for extra chicken. If we go to those places, she will say, I'm so happy to come out here, and she will take a lot of pictures. So if you are out there fearing that if you leave the comfort of paid employment, you are going to die, I want you to know that the only thing you have in your head is what my daughter had in her head. Oh, I don't want to miss my friends in Aba. If you come out, you find out that it is so enjoyable. All I ask is that before you come, make some preparation, plan. Part of your plan will include education. I mentioned it the last time.
Yeah,
Get professional education. If you are a university educated person in a degree, please, the career you want to pursue, the thing you like to do, find the professional bodies that back it and affiliate with them. Get their certification. That will give you exposure. That will help you, you posture with what you get there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's say those who do security. If you are certified in any of the security organizations that exist, institutes, you come out and then pride yourself as a professional.
Okay.
So that will help boost your ego and remove the fear of your no. But the key thing is get out and do something. Don't say, leave that shell, because in fact the fear is inside the shell. If you get out, you find out there's reasonable comfort out there.
Okay. I hope this video made a lot of sense to you, because that 6 minutes and some seconds video represents some of the story, the idea that led to my writing the book Retire Early to Wealth and Fame. And it is the story of the decisions that I made myself to get out of paid employment early. And in some of the decisions I made, I saw that it is necessary that, I leave the current job that I have to one that will do better payment for me. And I made preparations for that. And that is called mini retirement. As we discuss further on these things today, we will see some of the things that had to be done. Now, my planning for retirement took 7 years going. From the time I decided I need to leave government service and do something else for myself because of the expectations of the financial life that I want to have, the financial goals that I set for myself and dreams that I have. So it took me 7 years to do all the preparations. So I left government employment. I thought that I needed another paid employment to, support my movement. So, and that is what I did. Now, my former senior colleague who retired without any elaborate and worked out plans, one of them, this is a man that I adored because of his level of integrity. His integrity is without guile. He's a man that gave out of himself in the service. He loved the service. He loved the country. He gave in everything. Now he retired while all of us were in Calabar. And this man, who is a very, very, very senior officer in service, could not leave Calabar to his home because he never made a plan that helped him to have where he will move to. And as we discuss in this thing today, part of the things we need to, important considerations for early retirement planning is a plan on where you need to live in retirement. That plan needs to be made. Everyone should make it. So this man's life shocked me. Then before I left the service, I also had to go to the finance department. And for a long time, for several trips, I went to them and said, hey, if I am in this rank and position in service, how much money do I get legitimately? They gave me. If I finish in this number of years, I spend like 35 years in this service, or I stay here until I'm 60 years of age, how much money do I get in gratuity and pension? They worked it out and they gave to me. And when I looked at them, I saw that those monies were not good enough to keep me, to help me when I retire. I mean, all of this were going on in my head. And now something else prompted me to write this book, the book Retire Early to Wealth and Fame. What happened, why I had to write it, was after I had thought about this, about retirement, and then taking this decision of what to do, the man that was my director, whom I reported to as a principal staff officer before I left, didn't want me to go. He said, are you crazy? How can you leave service? Your rank level is next in line to become directors in this service. If you go away, that will be a big miss. What are you going to do? He actually made effort to dissuade me. In fact, when I gave him my retirement letter to now process it to the national headquarters, he refused to process it. He called meetings. He called some of our friends and asked. It is only one of them who told him, well, you know who Mr. Nmeribe is. He's not a boy. He's an old man. And if he says he wants to leave, I think we better put in this paper for him. That is before he put it. And now this man did not do this because of anything else except for the love he had for me. Because for 7 years, I worked closely with him. About 7 years, I worked closely with him. While I was way back in Calabar, I had a dotted line report to him in the national headquarters. Then I came to the FCT command and worked for 3 years there. And during this period, I also reported directly to him. And he was posted to become my director in the command. And then being my director meant that all these years of our relationship, we were now close to one another. And, we were doing a lot of things to help and support one another during this period. So when I said I wanted to retire, he felt that was a terrible mistake that I was making, and he protested it. But I told him that I needed to go because I have made my plans. Now, I just left and, continued to mind my life. I actually now got a job that gave me what I wanted. It didn't start big at the beginning. It started very small. If I had a very poor level job, I followed it. But then, being who I am, I was quick to prove myself for better things, and those better things came. And then I was not doing all I can. Then one day, I went to my own state command to go and get a retired officer's ID card, to go and find out who are the leaders there. So I will let them know that someone like me is in town. So I now met him there, surprisingly. And this is a man who likes to dress corporately all the time. But I saw him in a simple kaftan and a flop. This man, when he's dressing native, he wears the whole 1,500 in the abada, or he's in suit. This is what I know him for. This is his culture. But on this day in Abia State, I saw him on a kaftan only and a flop. And I said, sir, what's going on? What are you doing here? He said, well, I'm having a rough time in service at this time. And I said, are you the state director here? Which I feel could be something. He said, no, I'm just an assistant director. I said, wow. Okay, so if you're happy with what is going on here, why don't you retire? Come out. Don't you see me as I went out? I'm doing so great. He said, no, how can he retire? I'm not yet the age of retirement. And I said, sir, how long more do you need before you retire? And he said, 2 years. I said, wow, have you finished training all your children? He said, no. He has not finished training his children. Now, he still will have one in university and another in secondary school. And I said, and you are being treated this way. This is the time to get out. He said, no. So when I left his presence that day, I did not have peace in the drive, in the 1.5 hour drive from Umuahia because of the bad road. I didn't have peace in my heart. So as soon as I got home, I started writing this book. In spite of the fact that Aba usually will not have light, I'll put on candles and these rechargeable lamps and wrote all night without sleep. And within 6 months, the book was ready because I felt that I should have shared my dreams for early retirement planning. I should have shared what I did with my colleagues so that they do not have to come under any kind of nonsense because they are serving. So that if they can't take it, they don't become helpless. Yeah, early retirement planning will help you not to become helpless at any time in your life. This is what I gained from it, and this is what I want to pass on to all those who are listening who would like to follow. Okay, now here are some of the things that I did. I spent time thinking about the need to retire when I saw those conditions, and then I discussed with my wife, and then decided that we need to leave. Then we started planning. So our plan in that time included, I took the following actions. I went to school to get a degree. Hitherto, I had not received a university degree. I came in with the GCE paper, O levels, and then I had obtained a diploma in public administration. But I know that if I'm going to get something better outside, I need to match my experience with some qualification that is of a higher status. So in my plan for retirement, I included going to get a university education. If you have already a degree, as I know many people do, then go for advanced degrees. If you already have advanced degrees or don't want to go the route of advanced degrees, go for training on specialized areas of your life, especially on things you have passion for. If your passion is to be a trainer like me, you go for seminars and workshops and you read books. And these are the things that I did. First, I went to school and got a degree, and then I started. So then I decided that the best route for me was to take a mini retirement. If I just left that time into business, I may not be able to stand. Like if you listen to that video very well, you heard when I said if you take your gratuity and go and use it to do business, it will become school fees and you get into trouble. So the first thing I thought was that let me take a mini retirement, which is retire from this service, take up this other job. And then the pension and gratuity I got from my first job and the new salary that I have in the new job was able to give me the financial boost I needed to increase my business planning and how to make money without having to work for it. So now the next thing I did, I decided that I wanted to do in retirement was to be a speaker. I wanted to be a public speaker. In fact, what we are doing now, to be a trainer, to be a seminar leader. And a webinar is a seminar online on the web. So to be a leader in these things, that's what I decided I'll do with my life. And it was part of the plan. So what I'm doing with you today is part of the plan. From that time, I started practicing. And this thing they say, whatever you seek, you find. Because I decided that now I want to be a trainer, I was able to link up with the Nigerian Institute for Industrial Security. And then I got a fellowship of that institute as part of my plan to get professional education and professional branding. And then when they saw that my enthusiasm for training, I was taken on as one of the resource persons of the Nigerian Institute for Industrial Security. I also held my own seminars and workshops on other things, and then I love helping young people. So I held seminars and workshops in schools trying to teach young people how to set goals for their lives. So I started practicing. So check the actions I took. For those who are in need of it, you go to school. I went to school to get a degree. And if you don't need a degree, you go get professional education. This is very serious. If you finish your civil work as a civil servant or even in a company, it does not completely, what you have done does not completely relate to all that is in the business world. So you need some training that relates to them, and that is called professional education related to the things along your passion. So, and if you need to take a mini retirement, you do so. And then that thing you decide that you do on your retirement, you start learning it. and practicing it. So I started reading all the books. I have always loved reading books, and I invite everyone who wants to have a good life to love reading books. So I started reading books, and then I started speaking, and I started going to places. And because I had an opportunity to go to places in West Africa, I addressed seminars and workshops all over West Africa during this period as part of my practice. And then the retirement planning philosophy that I have, which I'd like to share with us on this webinar today, is the time to begin planning for your retirement is before or as soon as you get into paid employment. And I'm sure someone is going to say, how can I plan for retirement when I don't even have a job? And I tell you, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So planning should precede everything else you do in your life. But if you have not even started planning for your retirement, don't worry. Start right now. After hearing me today, know that the only wise thing again that you need to do is to get into it and start planning. And if you do not know how to begin, that's why people like us are here. All you need is to get in touch with us and we will help you in the process. So now the next thing is, therefore, I write, teach, and speak about retirement planning, and not just retirement planning, and not just, I talk about early retirement planning, but not just retirement planning. So you check it out. So my philosophy, first philosophy is to begin now to plan for your retirement, whether you have a job or not. And or if you have not started, as soon as you get into a job, start that same day. If you have not started before, start now. That's my philosophy on it. So start writing about, because of that, because that's my philosophy, I write about early retirement planning. So remember, earlier than even the job, earlier than the time of retirement. Most of the time, what you get from organizations is, or your any department you work for, is where you have 3 months or 1 year to go, they give you a retirement planning workshop. What that causes to people is hypertension. And I know people who have fallen sick when they, after going to the workshop, because now they know that retirement is imminent, because they don't even want to broach it. To them, retirement is like death. They don't want to think about it. But you see, it will still die. People die. People have to die. Retirement must happen. If you have started working, then you must start living one day. So think about these things and begin now. That's my basic philosophy. So for me, as part of my philosophy, I would like to spend the rest of my days as an early retirement planning evangelist, helping people, organizations, governments take up this important element of our labor welfare laws and life that will help people avoid corruption, live and work with integrity, and find wealth, peace, and joy in retirement. That's my philosophy. Now, if people, part of what makes I know that most people are corrupt because that is their spirit and their life and their mind. But some people also induce into corruption. And what leads them into corruption is because they are afraid of what will happen to them when they stop receiving paid salary and wages. So instead of being afraid, instead of living in fear, instead of now living in fear and from there going into sin and the immorality and the corruption, do early retirement planning. If you start early and implement it very well, you will have confidence, you will know where you're going, you have all the preparation you need for your life. That's my early retirement planning philosophy. That's my philosophy. Part of my philosophy include that early retirement planning education and programs implementation would help those who retire normally or who may retire suddenly due to ill health, downsizing in the company, marriage, transfers, political problems, and other upheavals to transit without the traumatizing experiences we are seeing today when such or the misfortune of sudden or unexpected retirement happens. You know, this is what is happening. People suddenly get retired either because of politics in the office. It can happen because somebody doesn't like your face. They put your name when they say bring people to retire. I know that in those days in service, they asked us to get those who are who have bad records and submit their name for retirement. There was a time they said, even where I work, they were trying to reduce manpower. And because many people are there, there's unemployment, and the government didn't know what to do with it. In those days, they were bereft of any ideas of bounty. They rule us with, in this country and in many African countries, with the mindset of poverty, of scarcity. So the only thing they knew was to downsize. That's the only way they can bring in new people, to remove those who were there. So I had the unfortunate responsibility as a principal staff officer in charge of administration to put down the names of those who must leave. And I agonized for this because I know some of these young people, though they have bad records, and some of the old people who are now weak have no plans in their lives. That time I've not even started thinking about early retirement, so I couldn't even help them. But then, their names were there. To avoid those traumatizing experiences that follow such misfortune, early retirement planning will just put you exactly where you need to be. Ensure that there are no shock. Ensure that there are no surprises. Ensure that you are totally in control of your life. That's my philosophy of early retirement planning. Now, one of the things, and this is one key message I want to pass today, so I'd like you to take good note of this, that early retirement planning is a personal responsibility. Retirement planning should start before, as early as someone gets into a paid employment. For those making a career in paid employment, or starts a business where she or he would make income. So if you, let's say you did apprenticeship, this is common among some people in Nigeria. They do apprenticeship and then they are settled with some amount of money or goods or a shop. Start that day that you have taken over to plan for when you will not be able to come to that shop to sell, when you will not be able to hustle as a young man as you are today, when you will not be able to be in physical control of many things around your life. If you're able to do this, it will prolong your life, give you good health, give you balance, and help you have a good sense of being a human being. The same for those in paid employment. It is your responsibility, and you need to start before or immediately you get into paid employment. Do not delay. If you have not started for many years, if you have only a few years to go and you have not planned seriously, now is still a good time. Today is the day. According to people of faith, they say now, therefore, today is the day of salvation. So today is the day of salvation, the day you begin to do what you must do to get where you must go. Okay. Now, as part of helping you know of the personal responsibility ingrained in early retirement planning, I am advocating that all employers of labor, governments, and the private sector should make and implement a policy that ensures that as soon as someone starts work, he or she is put through a 5-day workshop on early retirement planning, which will include savings, investment, health practices, additional educations, professional certifications, and skills that are requisite to have income continue flowing during retirement. Now, when you prepare yourself very well and retire and you are doing what you love, like me in retirement, it becomes no work. What I'm doing today, to me, is fun. You can wake me up and ask me to start teaching, to start addressing people, to start sharing thoughts, to start sharing wisdom. That is just what I love to do. So planning helps you to decide what it is you will do in retirement that will give you both fun and possibly make you money. So, but key is that the government may do this for you, what we are advocating here. We will keep pushing for policies along this line, but it is your personal responsibility to take that gauntlet called retirement planning and to do so early. Now, the current PENCOM designed retirement savings account is not enough. And I can tell you that on good authority of personal experience, because I am a pensioner. I receive the PENCOM arranged, what do you call it, stipends they pay every month. Now, the money I get from the RSS as my monthly stipend is not even up to 1/10 of my last salary. So how does a man survive on that? I mean, you need to look at this. So you need a lot more than whatever your pension account fund can give you to be able to survive. And as you might have heard in that video, if you get the lump sum from your pension account and then put it in a business that you have not learned, the money will be gone. The money will become school fees. And what those who pay school fees get, they don't get any profit from school fees other than experience and knowledge. And in retirement, it's not knowledge you are looking for again. You are looking for money to sustain the lifestyle you have designed. So whatever the current PENCON, the Nigeria's PENCON designed the RSA is doing, or any country in Africa, whatever your pension company is doing is not enough. So you need to do your own planning. You need to take responsibility to prepare yourself for that time. Okay, here are some more things I want to share with you about early retirement planning. The fact that it's a personal responsibility. Some of us will live for another 20 to 40 years after retirement. Yes, some of us are going to do that. There's no retirement program organized by our employers that will make adequate provision for what we need at retirement if we are opportune to live this long. I want you to note that. If you retire at 60, live for another 20 years, that will be 80 years. If you live another 40 years, that will be 100. The PENCOM people, my RSA, the retirement savings account, and my PSA, they have already told me that the total amount in my listing is not will expire at a certain time. So there's no money there for life for you. Therefore, this retirement planning and the early one that will help you prepare other sources of income you will use to help yourself must be something you will do. There's no need to, there's need to organize our lives in such a way that we have income flowing throughout our retirement life without us really having to work full time for such income. It is called setting up the process for passive residual income or multiple sources of income. And please note, multiple sources of income does not mean multiple jobs, as they will do in places like America, where for someone to be able to meet up with their bills, they will have close to 5 jobs. That is a killing field. But multiple sources of income and the passive residual income is those income you make in a business that you have set up that keeps churning out money, even if the money is small, little amount of money. Now, all who are in paid employment should necessarily prepare themselves for life in retirement, which must include becoming an entrepreneur. You cannot save all the money you need in retirement. The way to go is to ensure that you create, before retirement, where your income in retirement will be coming from. Yes, you have to do this. If you don't do this, you will struggle. It will be a problem. Like I said, there's nothing you will earn while you are working. No amount of money that you will save, and no amount of even those who are stealing money, no amount that they will steal that will be able to cover them in retirement. You just always need to have a way where income comes while you are in retirement. The only thing we ask is that you look for those that you don't need to be working on every day, because sometimes your energy and health may not be able to take that. If you get your gratuity and pension or retirement benefits and invest such in a business you have not learned well before retirement, the whole money will turn into school fees and you can only get experience. If that is the only income you have, you are in trouble. So I've said that before, and I put it back here so that it will be re-emphasized that we do not miss the fact that we cannot use our gratuity or our retirement benefit to invest on a business we just started. It shouldn't be the seed capital. if you will ever go into a business you are doing, it needs to be a booster capital. You're already doing the business. Now you want to expand. Then you put that money there. That's the only way you can see the money. If you put it first, it becomes school fees. Because all investors know that all the initial capitals you invest will vanish. It is when you recapitalize that you will find your business. If the only money you have is only that one you use in starting, even if the only passion you have, the only enthusiasm you have is the one you use in starting, it will be wiped away by the training process. It will be wiped away. And if you do not have more enthusiasm, more commitment, more passion, and more money to continue, then that is why they say 90%, or is it 95% or 99% of every startup business must fail. The reason why they are failing is that every kobo you put, all the millions, if you like, bring 100 million, put all of them at once inside a business now. In 6 months, you have no kobo. You will have experience. You might have a few skeletal equipments and material there, but you will just discover that your working capital has been wiped away. You have nothing more to use in continuing. So this is not a matter of how much you use in starting. It is just a basic process that must happen before you start. That is why in investment planning, people are educated to, if you have a total amount of money for your business, it is always best to divide it into 3 and then use the first one to test the waters. As soon as it wipes away, you use the second one to boost it. It will now begin to manage to stand. Then by the time you deploy the third portion, the business can grow. Now, all those who start business with the initial enthusiasm, the initial passion, and the initial capital that is total and only thing they have, those businesses must fail. That's why 90% or more of all startup businesses fail every single year, because people started with the whole of what they have. And as soon as trouble starts, they don't even have no more passion to add back to the business to enable them keep striving. Now, some people fall sick and die shortly if they are lucky. If they are not lucky, like I said in the video, they stay sick with terminal diseases such as the effect of stroke, hypertension for a long time, thereby ruining their lives and their families' lives and their peace and happiness. Everything will be gone. This is not what you want for yourself. The cure to this, the only cure that I have known, the only thing I have seen that worked is early retirement planning. That's what erases this calamity from falling on people after they have worked, gloried, whether they worked with integrity or whether they were rogues and were stealing money. All of it must finish. It is written. My recommendation is that people should start the business they would do in retirement many years, even as much as 10 or more years minimum before retirement. Let's say you started, if you listen to what we are saying now and you are just entering into employment newly and you start all the processes, you take this instruction to heart, you start working on it, start the business you do retirement if possible now. And do not delay. When it is 10 years to retirement, you have not started that business, you're already running a big risk. So if you do it that way, you have an existing vehicle and terrain you are familiar with to invest your retirement benefits. If not, the money will be wasted. These have been the source of problems in retirement, leading to people dying in penury and shame. Now, if your organization decides to help, see it as help and seize the opportunity and take the required action. The only help your organization can give is to provide early retirement planning workshops. You are still responsible to act upon what you must do to have income flow during retirement. I want to repeat this. You are still responsible to act upon what you must do to have income flow during retirement to you. Nobody will do it for you. Your organization won't do it for you. I will even share an example for you. When I was researching for this book, Retire Early to Wealth and Fame, I stumbled upon the retirement benefit system of Mobil and other of these oil companies. So at the initial stage, their people work, they pay them huge, pay them different, as if they are not in the same country with the rest of us. But, it has also, it's not even super advantage for them. The only advantage they have is that they will eat more meat than you, probably travel more than you, fly more than you. But, they have this high life they live, and then they finish living this life. What Mobil discovered was that as soon as their personnel retire, even directors, they retire, the next thing, within 2-3 years, they have stroke, hypertension, diabetes, and they stay terminally ill. And if they are lucky, they die early. If they are not lucky, they stay in that way until all their money finished. All that huge money that they collected as retirement benefit will finish. Now, what Mobil did for them was they started, okay, if whatever status you are at work, before you leave, as your retirement is coming, you tell them where you are, where you want to live for retirement. And this is one of the things that we teach in early retirement planning, and it's in the book, Retire Early to Wealth and Fame. Among the 6 important considerations you must consider before you retire is where to live after retirement. So Mobil will now ask their staff where they want to live after retirement, and Mobil will take part of their money and their own, bring their own and take the staff own and go build that same type of house that Mobil gave them to live. They'll buy them all those generators and so on. But this is not the solution, because the solution is in income flowing while in retirement. Because if there's no income flow during retirement, whatever they have been prepared will finish over time. And that person will stare on life with fear that will bring more sicknesses, and especially those terminal ones like hypertension and stroke. So even if you work in these oil companies, in these big places, even if you earn over 5 million in a month now, if you do not make these plans, you will come to the same level where someone who earned 100,000 who didn't also plan. And anybody who earned 100,000 who planned and has a place how money can flow while in retirement will be far better than you, even if you earned 5 million in a month today in Nigeria. And I'm speaking this on good authority because it's researched and evidence research that I'm using to make this presentation. Okay, here are 2 questions that people have asked me frequently, which apply to this issue of early retirement planning. One says, I earn such a meager salary and my income is so small from my petty trading. How realistic is it for me to plan and prepare for retirement when I earn so little? Very great question. This question is sensible in all ramifications, even as the response to it will show as if it is not. But I would like to say that this question is real. This is a real life situation for people, and I do not take it lightly. I take it very seriously. And my response to this is, if those who make plans struggle, what will happen to someone without a plan? I'm passing that back as a question. If you ever find an answer to that, you will find the answer to this. And then part of the things required in early retirement planning is savings. And your salary is so meager, your wages are meager, or the money you make from your petty trading is so small, you are not able to, you are thinking, I can't even save and improve investment. Then I would like to tell you that savings is not done with cash. Savings is done with discipline. If you even look around, you will see that today there's this isusu all over in our markets. Every day, these Akao people, as we call them, or the Susu people will come. Some people will give 100 naira, 50 naira, 500 naira, 1,000, depending on what they can. That is what is called planning, savings. And you know what? You can even save that with your bank. If you do not trust the Susu people, you can save that with bank. The bank is ready to take them. So remember, money, the savings Planning is not done because you have huge money. The truth actually is that if you cannot plan with small money, you cannot plan with big money. That you have to just know that this is the fact. So sit down there. Carry a book and pen and be sure you have started a plan. If that plan doesn't come, you stay there until you are ready to bet and go to work the next day. You just sit there. Before you know it, you receive inspiration on what to do. And I'm telling you this from personal experience, because I had the same issue. I struggled to be able to know how to save money. And my friend, it was difficult. And I did something. I will talk about that at some point. Now, the other one is, how can I start business when I work full time for my company? What time do I have? And what about my employers being displeased that I'm using their time to do my private business? Very cogent reasons, very cogent questions. I mean, I cannot belittle these questions because they are real life. They are real. But then I have an answer to them. And this is what happened to me personally. And this is the route that I took myself. And it made a change in my life. And I would like to share that story with you. Some years ago, I was living in Onitsha and I was working for government. But I had too many responsibilities of siblings, who live with me. So my salary, even though if it was one man that is using it, it would be a lot of money to play around with, does not last more than 1 week. It doesn't last more than 1 week. And it was a traumatic life we were having. And I wondered what we could be doing, how we would survive. And it was difficult. With all the siblings around me, I couldn't even pay for the examinations. We were living from hand to mouth. Then, as a man of faith, let me talk from the point of faith, because it is where this came from. The epiphany that I received came from this point, and I cannot deny it. So even if you're not a Christian, but you can learn wisdom, because of course I learn wisdom from Buddhists, Muslims, Shintoists and all. I read everything. Now here is what happened. In 1988, I joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As a member of the church, we were taught to pay tithes, 1/10 of our income. When the missionaries discussed this with me, I told them, well, friends, I'm sorry. I cannot pay a tithe. My money cannot even see beyond 1 week. So where will I get the one I use in paying a tithe? The missionary that taught me the gospel principles of the church, which I joined, they were younger boys than me. They were young. I was old. I was 32 years then. They were in their 20s. And one of them bore a testimony that touched me. He said, sir, I live in Port Harcourt with my father and mother and 4 other siblings. All of us live in a flat that is rented. We are all members of the church. My father, who is the only one who earns some income in the house, is a full tithe payer. We do not have any car we trek to church and to anywhere we need to go to school and all. But because my father is a full tithe payer, we have peace in our house. And all of us are hopeful that our lives will change for good. I promise you that if you pay a full tithe of your income, you will be blessed. Well, from that young man, the first thing I thought was, what you said sounds meaningful, but let me warn, if I start paying this tithe, my life didn't change, I will leave this church. And I enjoy being a member of this church, and I believe that through this church, I will go to heaven. And if I leave, I'll hold you responsible if finally I go to hell. He put his face down with tears misted in his eyes, and I took that serious. So for me to be able to pay my tithe, I had to. Those days we signed the money on the table. As soon as I signed my salary, I removed the tithe and put it in my drawer, because when I get home, people I'm owing money will be there waiting. So any money I came back with, we simply put it on the table, share, they take their own, and they say, hey, these children need to eat for at least 1 week before we start starving. Take that, thank you. So I removed that tithe and kept. So that first day, as soon as I removed it, I walked to the leader of our church, called branch president then, and say, sir, this is my tithe. He said, oh, sorry, this is not how they do it. They bring it to church on Sunday. I say, well, this money cannot come to church on Sunday. You need to take it now. He had a matter of fact voice statement from me, and then he took the money. The next month, I did the same thing. The third month, I did the same thing. By the fourth month, I was not garnered courage to, because he was concerned that I was bringing the money to him in the house. He doesn't want that money in the house. So, but I gathered courage. When I got the salary, I removed it and left it in the drawer. On Sunday morning, I'll pass through there to church and collect it and pay. Now, I don't know exactly when these things started happening, but what happened was that one day, I just realized, it just came to me as an epiphany. My head just cleared, bam. It's like they put a light bulb in your brain. Boy, you have 24 hours in a day. You live just next to this office. So let's say you just put only 8 hours here. Let's say you put 9 or 10. What do you do with the rest of the 14 hours in the day? Okay, you sleep for 8 hours. What do you do with the remaining 6? So from that day, I started looking for another job. Because now I know that my life is not go to the office, do what I need to do, come back home, sit and bemoan my fate. I started looking for another job. I stumbled up on a man who said, oh, I will just go into a company. I was living in Onitsha at that time, and everybody there is an importers and exporters. And I know that most of the traders didn't go to school. And I have a good hang on English language, and I can type very well. I can write very well. So I said, let me go to these people and tell them, hey, I can write all your letters with your foreign partners. I'm a good writer. So I started going. I went to the first person. The man looked me up and said, hey, did they send you? How can you walk in here and say you want a job? Who are you? I'll call police now. I say, okay, I'm sorry. I left. I'm determined that I have to find something to do with the rest of my time. I went to the next person. He said, sorry, I don't need a secretary. See my secretary here. And by the time I went to the third person, he said, hey, please, did you say you know how to type? Okay, come and sit down. My secretary just married, and, since she's married, she can't come here again. That's how I started typing for this man. While I was in his shop, because of the way I looked, I was an officer of a government service. So I had an outlook of confidence. I'm a man with reasonable learning because I've read a lot. So the confidence was clear. So when his friends visit him, they will see me knocking away in the typewriter, helping him to fix things, fix his office, run the office in the evenings for him. They'll say, how can you pay this kind of man? This person is too much. Oh. Are you sure? When did you start becoming a big man to pay a person of this nature? He said, I'm not paying him. Oh. He just said he wanted to work. So can I pay him? So all of us laughed. Then one of them, by the time a third person did that, one said, oh, hey, can you come and help me too? So before I know it, I was sharing my evening hours among 5 different companies, working for them. Before I know it, I cleared all the debt I owed. Before I know it, I had no fear again that bedeviled me. Before I know it, I could pay for some of my siblings to learn work and go to write exams. So now here is the take here. As a person of faith, I credit this as a blessing that is promised to those who pay a tithe of their income. And when we teach you savings, how to save, we'll teach you to pay a tithe. Or, to the source of your spiritual power. It doesn't matter what it is. So long as you draw spiritual power from there. In personal development, we feel it is okay for you to pay your tithe to them. Okay, so I started doing that. And all this extra money I made, I paid tithe on them. and my life changed. And the next thing I desired was to leave Onitsha, because Onitsha was too harrowing for me. Onitsha is not a simple place for a simple soul like mine. And then when a transfer came and took me away. Now, here are things that I take from that. You have 24 hours every day. Let's say you put 12 in with the current things you are doing. Spare 1 hour, 2 hours to do something else, to learn a new business, to learn a trade. That is my response to these questions that have been asked me very often. Now, the question of how can I save on a meager salary? Now, the volume of money you make has nothing to do with savings. Savings is a matter of discipline, pure and simple. If you make $1 million a month and you don't have discipline, you can't save 1 naira. And if you make only 50,000 a month, you have discipline, you can save 10% of that. So the best way to begin savings is to save a little part of your income regularly as a decision that you have to make. And here is a principle of savings that I developed with my son. We were discussing this. I was teaching him the 10-10-10-80 system. He said, why don't we make it 10-10-10-70 system? And I said, explain. He told me, okay, 10% to the source of your spiritual power. 10% to you pay it to yourself, but keep it in the bank as savings. Then 10% again as to yourself, keep it in the bank and keep it handy for investment. So he told me that because my son, I made him to read and love reading books like I do. So he said, if you pay your tithe, save for any day, then you save for investment, then you live on 70%. And this needs to be as a matter of discipline, not as a matter of how much money you have. I am yet to find anybody who became a big saver because they have a lot of money. Many people who have a lot of money are even the poorest of those who can save. For me to be able to finally save, I struggled. By the time my children was growing up, and I was not thinking, how do I prepare for the education? So I talked over these things with my wife, and then we had to go to bank and open the savings account in the name of all of them without collecting any passbook. And then we asked the bank to set it up for 6 years. And then I did a bank order on my salary. And the order was automatic. As soon as my salary lands this bank, before I even arrive, even if I'm coming the same day, before I reach the bank, please remove this amount and put in each of the children's bank accounts. That's how I was able to save. So you can approach your bank and make such arrangement with them if you are like me, who may not be able to make it easy for yourself. So watch your savings grow. Remove instant access to your savings, make it regular, make it long-term, save and get support, and then learn more. Keep learning about financial intelligence and literacy so that you know the place of savings on how you can save on a meager salary or income. Now, business while working full-time. I've explained this. You have 24 hours a day, and you are currently using, let's say you are using 12 hours for this. You can conveniently provide 2 to 4 hours daily to learn and practice the business you will be doing in retirement. Over time, you will become more efficient and you're going to be okay. Now, I invite human resources department directors and managers to connect with me to provide for your employees this secret to high performance and integrity at work. This retirement planning is what can help your employees to become people of integrity, to perform with all their heart, because they have hope, because they know they are not going to suddenly be in trouble, because they know that if they should leave the company now, they are going to be okay. So if you are an organization, you can invite me to, and I will use the vehicle of my company, Townhall Communication Company, to teach your employees early retirement planning, financial intelligence, entrepreneurship, and investing. Now, we have a bonus for those who are attending this seminar today. The bonus that for you is, if you attended this seminar today, you just simply indicate by sharing a comment on the bar that you are on Facebook that you are this. Then you'll be able to, when you now buy a copy of this book, Retire Early to Wealth and Fame, you will get 6 months free coaching from me. So if you buy this book, your bonus is 6 months free coaching on how to implement early retirement planning. I'll take you by the hand, walk you through what I did myself, and then you watch yourself grow. And it is all free for 6 months. That coaching will start as soon as you finish reading the book and ask your first question. The coaching has started, and I will respond by every means necessary. And then we invite you to workshops that will help you learn more. And we'll come back on air again freely to answer to some of the questions that you might have. Now, this is the Q&A session. If you have any questions, we would like to take those questions at this time. And after we finish with the questions, this seminar will be over. So, we value your comments. We see that a number of people are watching. We'd like to have your comments or questions, because this will be necessary for us to be able to help you further. If you would like to show that you came to this seminar today, if you buy a copy of this book, the Retire Early to Wealth and Fame, then because you left a comment here, or when you see this on Facebook or YouTube, we'll be able to give you 6 months free coaching for being part of this seminar. Thank you very much for being with us and for participating in this project today. We will continue to hold these seminars and find ways to reach you and support you in your plan to have a better life. Thank you, and have a pleasant weekend.